I was working at the case and I heard some shots go off, and I didn't realize what it was, and then I saw people running, and after I got outside we had a disgruntled employee that come in and opened fire on the crew. About 100 people employed there, and he just started shooting.
Turner Broadcasting System.
Welcome to Larry King Live. Tonight, carnage in Oklahoma. A disgruntled postal employee opened fire today and 15 people are dead. We'll go to the scene. And a star with a cause. Valerie Harper is fighting to end hunger at home and abroad. Now, here's Larry King.
Good evening in Washington. This is Larry King. We'll be taking your phone calls during this program. Our numbers are 202-898-7600. Tragedy today in Edmond, Oklahoma. You no doubt know the story. A mass slaying, 14 dead, including the man who did the slaying, others injured. With us tonight from Edmond, Oklahoma are Ron Blackwell. Mr. Blackwell was an eyewitness survivor. He, by the way, had previously represented Patrick Sherrill, the 44-year-old who caused the carnage and then killed himself in a disciplinary action. Mr. Blackwell is shop steward there. And Bob Macy. Mr. Macy is the district attorney for Oklahoma County. He arrived with a police SWAT team on the scene. Hostage negotiators tried to make contact with Sherrill, but he would not respond. And here in our studio is Dr. Jack Levin. He is professor of sociology at Northeastern University, and he's the co-author, along with James Allen Fox, of the book Mass Murder, America's Growing Menace. It is published by Plenum. It was published last year. No doubt they will be getting more copies into the stores now. Let's go first to Oklahoma. Ron, where were you when it all happened this morning?
I have my case situated to where my back was away from me. In other words, I had two cases in front of me. He took to the center of the workroom floor and come down the supervisor about 50 feet away from where I work.
When did you know what was going on? I mean, did you see it all happen?
No, I heard the three initial shots. Someone yelled out that he had a gun, and people started running out the exits. At that point, I knew it wasn't a prank, and I followed. 6 to 7 rounds fired before I got out the front.
Did you see Mr. Sherrill at all?
I'd seen him earlier in the morning. He clocked in for duty with the rest of us and went to his case to start his day.
Did he say anything to you when you saw him?
No, he didn't. He clocks in a little bit earlier than I do, 5 minutes.
Did he look any particular way different to you? This is all in retrospect, of course.
No, I'd seen him in various moods, so it wasn't anything obvious.
I know this is difficult for you, Ron. I appreciate your coming. We're not going to take up a great deal of your time. A couple of other things. You did represent him in a disciplinary action. Was that by the nature of your job? You represent all disciplinary actions as shop steward?
In the letter carrier craft, but Pat was basically the disciplinary problem that had surfaced there.
What was, if you could sum up for us, Ron, his problem at the post office?
It couldn't just be summed up in any nutshell. He had a little different level of aptitude than some of us, but he was giving it 100% effort most of the time, and just got into more trouble than he could fend off, and kind of took it real personal.
Did you like him?
He was strangely unnerving.
Hard to like?
It's hard to get close to him. It was.
How did he get the weapons in?
He could have brought them in any number of ways. I really don't know if he had them in a mail satchel, or sometimes we'd bring change of clothes or something, so could have been shoes or anything. It was a couple of handguns.
You did not know, even though shop steward, that he had had a warning the day before that if he didn't shape up, they were going to fire him, right?
Not on this occasion, no. No, I didn't learn until afterwards that they had counseled him.
Mr. Macy, District Attorney for Oklahoma County, is also with us in the same studio in Edmond, Oklahoma, with Ron Blackwell. When, Bob, did you arrive?
I was called at my house at about 7:15 to 7:20. I was at the Edmond Police Department probably by 7:30. I stayed there at the command post until entry was made. As soon as the SWAT team went in, which was approximately 8:30, then as soon as the wounded were removed, I immediately went into the building.
Then when you got the call, the shooting was going on, right?
I got the first call, said that there was one person dead, probably 3 wounded. That's all they knew of at that time, and that a man was inside the post office and had a number of hostages.
Is Edmond the largest city in Oklahoma County?
Oh, no, Oklahoma City is in Oklahoma County, right? Oklahoma City is probably, well, there's total population in the county, probably 650,000 people.
Edmond is a suburb of Oklahoma City, then?
Yes, sir.
Do you feel frustrated? I don't want to put words in your mouth. How do you feel?
Horribly frustrated in that as I walked through there, I think the first thing that hits you is that this is unreal. This just didn't happen. When you walk in and see 14 dead people, including a lot of relatively young, nice-looking young people. As you continue to walk through, you see 3 bodies in one group. You walk back, there are 5 more ladies lying there, one beautiful young lady. You walk on back, and there's a break room and a young man lying there at the corner of the table. And my reaction was that of anger. I'm a prosecutor. I've put 7 people on death row this year trying to stop this sort of thing. And as I walked through there, I found my anger building, and it was horribly frustrating because I looked at those 13 people that he had murdered and realized, of course, he was beyond our reach. He had already taken his own life. And it was a very, very frustrating feeling.
Did you see his body?
Yes, sir, I did.
You were quoted earlier tonight as saying that your desire was to shoot him some more. Is that correct?
Well, that's the feeling that you have. You walk through there and you spend a lifetime trying to stop this sort of thing. You walk in, you see all these bodies, you see all these nice young people, and you build up an intense anger, and the man's laying there, and yeah, your reaction would be, I'd like to shoot him again if I could. But again, that's a thought. It's not an action that you would take.
Now what? You have nobody to prosecute. This is open and shut, as they say. Is it preventable? You mentioned that you put people on death row. All those people on death row didn't stop Mr. Sherrill today.
We're going to do an in-depth psychological profile on him with the help of the FBI. We're going to talk with the union steward, with other people, try to get all the information we can to see if there was some signal that we might have recognized, that maybe we can pass this information on and hopefully avoid this sort of thing happening in another city.
I know that Ron is going to leave us. Mr. Macy will stay, so I would like to have just a few other things from Ron Blackwell, the eyewitness, and then we'll bring Dr. Levin in, who is with us here. Ron, in all the time you knew Patrick Sherrill, and you said, obviously, that he was strange and maybe difficult to know, did you ever think him violent?
No, I never made any overt threats or really outrageous, radical moves, but he'd stand up for himself.
But he was not the kind of guy who would say, I'm going to kill that guy, or make macho kind of threats?
Not to my knowledge.
You know everybody that died today, don't you?
Yes, sir.
And you also represented him. This is not the easiest of times for you. Are you going to go back to work soon or take some time off?
They've reopened operations, and I'm going to go in tomorrow.
You are going to go to work tomorrow?
6:30.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you for coming. We'll ask Bob Macy to stay, and we bring now to our cameras Dr. Jack Levin. He's authored Mass Murder, America's Growing Menace. Why is it growing?
Well, you know, at first I was shocked to know that it was growing at all.
We're back. We're going to try and speak with those fellows in Edmond, Oklahoma, some of the survivors of the massacre yesterday. One of them, Michael Bigler, a letter carrier, wounded in the back. Ron Blackwell, the shop steward for the Letter Carriers Union, and Dick Carlton, general manager of the Oklahoma City Division of the Postal Service. Mr. Blackwell, why don't we start with you? You heard the shooting. Where were you? What did you see? What did you hear?
I only heard the first 3 shots and then saw the fleeing people and heard about 6 more before I came out the front of the building here.
You were inside the building when the shooting began?
Yes, I was.
How would you describe the scene inside? Was it chaotic? Were people running?
It was pretty madhouse. Yeah, everybody was dashing for the nearest door.
When did you know it was Patrick Sherrill who was doing the shooting, and how did you find out?
It wasn't until I was out in the parking lot here that I heard some of the carriers saying who they'd seen.
Once you learned it was Patrick Sherrill, you had been his supervisor at one point in time, as I understand it, yes?
I had been his supervisor?
Yes, Patrick Sherrill's supervisor?
No, I had been his shop steward.
Shop steward.
His labor rep.
I see. You knew about the problems he'd been having on the job. What were those problems? How serious were they, and how was he trying to deal with them?
Most of the problems were typical discipline, customer complaints, and some of Patrick's own shortcomings.
Could you tell me what you mean by that, his shortcomings, and what kind of customer complaints?
Well, we all experience an orientation period where we aren't as efficient as we could be, and sometimes we make mistakes, misdelivery of mail and such, but just getting the hang of carrying 20 or 30 different routes takes quite a bit of mental capacity.
I guess what I'm asking is, were his problems severe in nature? Was he the type that would fly off the handle, or were the problems that bedeviled him relatively minor?
They were relatively minor, and he didn't fly off the handle. He wasn't of a threatening nature. It was real passive aggressiveness.
I'd like to ask Mr. Bigler and Mr. Blackwell what he was like as a person, or if you knew him. Was he a loner? Did he stay by himself? How would you describe him as a person?
You want to start, Ron? Well, he had some social outpouring. He was involved in ham radio, and he liked to tour bicycles. So he wasn't totally introverted, but he didn't make a lot of effort to meet new friends.
Yeah, great.
It was just panic, scattered. Everybody went in different directions, and he just started firing shots.
What was everybody saying or thinking?
Well, that time of the morning, it's pretty quiet in there, and I heard mass hysteria. Everybody just said he's got a gun, and people started hiding under cases and running as fast as they could. I went in the office earlier this morning, and it was a pretty eerie feeling, and a lot of memories there, so it's not really pleasant.
What they remember is Patrick Sherrill walking into the sorting room, carrying 2 .45 caliber pistols and a .22 in a mail pouch. He stepped up to the supervisor's desk and opened fire on the people sitting there. Then, for the next 10 minutes, Sherrill moved methodically through the room, saying nothing, killing people.
Some of the witnesses said all they heard were people they did say his name and were pleading for their life. Don't shoot me, don't shoot me, don't do it.
He didn't have any vent, any way to get it out, so.
It's up to the employees to decide whether they're ready to return to work. Postal officials say they are prepared for a long period of adjustment.
I think we have to forge ahead, but I'm sure there's a lot of memories in there, and we have to be patient and tolerant of our people.
Evidence of the killings is gone now. The employees are back to work. But it will be some time before it's business as usual again at the Edmond Post Office. Peter Mays, News 4.
Edmond mail carriers deliver thousands of letters every day. Postal carriers must meet tight time schedules. A National Letter Carriers Union official claims irresponsible and coercive management policies may have contributed to yesterday's massacre. Local postal management officials disagree. They claim Edmond letter carriers have excellent working relationships with their bosses.
With no doubt, even greater pressure by far has been applied at Edmond.
Most Edmond mail carriers declined to comment on labor management relations. One carrier called the relations excellent. Scott Wallace, News 4.
The letter carriers tried to do their jobs today as if it were just another day, but that, of course, was impossible. The people along the routes tried to make things easy. They tried to show they understood. News on Edge's Randy Renner has that story.
Ron Blackwell has walked his mail route near downtown Edmond for years. It has never been more difficult. Blackwell and the others who survived spent the day after just trying to finish it. The folks along the mail routes share the heartache and the helplessness. Many of the people in the quiet neighborhoods wondered the same thing. Most knew their letter carrier only by sight, not by name. So
we were real happy to see you.
Ron Blackwell, another survivor, was greeted by hugs from his customers as he walked his mail delivery route.
Deciding to go back to work after yesterday's mass shootings in Edmond wasn't easy for the survivors. Some chose to stay home from work today, but others decided that going back was best. 5 Alive's Holly Echols has this story on one letter carrier who was pounding the pavement less than 24 hours after the tragedy.
Letter carrier Ron Blackwell had to cross the yellow police markers surrounding the Edmond post office before he could begin delivering the mail today. A survivor of the Wednesday massacre, Blackwell made a conscious decision to keep going. He said he knew he had to go back to work.
It was an eventuality, so today's as good a day as any.
Blackwell walks an 8-mile route, which includes the downtown Edmond business community. Merchants here are just blocks away from the murder scene.
Everybody in this building certainly was grateful that you weren't physically hurt. I know that's not enough. We cared.
Greetings like this one followed Blackwell throughout the day. They helped to ease the pain.
Glad to see all these people, I tell you. Real happy. Praise the Lord. Hey, young fella. Great to see you. Real good.
Barber Slim Yandel said he feared he'd never see Blackwell again. From the hugs to the symbolic yellow ribbons, the message was clear. The community cared.
Yes, I know you know.
While Ron Blackwell is back on the job, it is not business as usual. And Blackwell says it may never be. Holly Echols, 5 Alive News in Edmond.
Postal officials said all but one of the survivors was back on the job today. In this close-knit postal community, it was a day of friends helping friends get over the tragedy. For some, the emotions of guilt, anger, and frustration are tough to handle.
A lot of people are real angry if you discuss it. They'll say, would you shut up and leave me alone? The bullet holes in the wall don't help any. And there's a couple little things like blood stains on the floor that they missed. This little stuff, you know, you can't avoid, for Pete's sake. It was bad in there. And other people want to talk about it all the time. And we really don't quite know what to do or how we're supposed to act.
Postal employees are being advised by local psychologists and clergy to talk out their fears and face this tragedy head-on.
Get in on conversations. He took breaks with us. He didn't go to a lot of our outside activities, but a lot of other employees didn't either. And he seemed to have a normal social life.
Cheryl lived by himself with ham radios and guns.
He kept to himself mostly. He was a loner. Nobody, he was just a part-time employee and didn't have a lot of friends. So.
Told Newsline 9, at first they thought the sounds were only firecrackers, but then they saw bodies falling. They also shed some light on what might have triggered the massacre.
The head of the National Postal Workers Union is blaming management for forcing Pat Sherrill over the breaking point. The National Postal Workers Union official claims irresponsible and coercive management policies may have contributed to the massacre. Local postal management officials say Edmond letter carriers have excellent working relationships with their bosses.
Last week we were in the break room. He says that they were going to be sorry. I said, oh, come on, Patrick, we know you're having trouble with management. And he says, oh, they'll be sorry and everybody will know about it. Now, what do you think when someone says something like that?
workers remember Rick Esser as a good husband, father, and friend.
Rick was genuine. There wasn't any fake to him, so we all respected him and loved him.
Welcome life to paradise. Help us to comfort each other with the assurance of our faith until we all meet in Christ and be with you and our brother forever.
We need all the help we can get. It's just now soaking in on a lot of us, the depth of it. So we appreciate all the continued care and concern.
By the tragedy, many are also beginning to realize that the senseless slaughter was not their fault.
Edmond is an excellent community. There was no reason on earth for this to happen here, so it just happened to be a set of circumstances we couldn't avoid.
Postal employees were told that group counseling will continue for the next week and a half, and individual counseling will be available as long as necessary. You can tell from outward appearances that 15 people died here. Postmaster Dale Folk says the business of delivering the mail to the community of 45,000 is back to normal. What isn't back to normal are the lives of the postal employees who survived. For many, like 31-year-old Ron Blackwell, the protective shell of shock has worn off, and now he must get counseling to overcome his fear, anger, and frustration.
When it's senseless like this has been, it's hard to come to grips with it. It's hard to point a finger at anything and say this is what caused it. So people are struggling to find an answer, and there's no fulfillment to it. There's just not a clear, easy way.
Here, the dispute centers on whether or not to inscribe Killer Pat Sherrill's name on any such memorial.
Knowing he was a brother carrier, if it had been a stranger off the street, of course you wouldn't include him. In a way, he's a victim too.
And so too are we all. Victims in the sense that each act of mass murder decreases our feelings of safety and security and increases our suspicions and our fears. Human time bombs are thankfully rare in our society, but when they do explode, they wound us all.
One final note, if you know someone who is troubled and the tension is building, take the time to talk to that person and let him know someone cares. The worst thing to do is ignore him and to further isolate him from human contact. A little compassion might be the crucial difference.
Hello, Mr. Wilson.
Ron Blackwell is trying to make a difference. He volunteered to take the route of one of the slain carriers. No one else was interested because the route of a dead man bears a stigma.
I felt more or less duty-bound to at least try it and see if I could break the stigma.
Now, 7 weeks after the massacre, life has begun returning to normal. The victims will need time to work through their trauma, and that may take months, even years. But it is a tribute to the human spirit for some to see good arising from this horrendous tragedy.
A lot of people's faith has shored up, and it gives you a whole different perspective on life. You know, it's preciousness. So if no other good is gained from it, I'm going to respect my fellow man a lot more than I did. And every day I breathe God's clean air, I'm going to be thankful.